12 o'clock, and so I want to be mindful of everyone's time and their calendars. And so I want to get the meeting started. My name is Malcolm Graham, and I'm chairing the committee, the Great Neighborhoods Committee this year. And I want to welcome everyone to our committee meeting. And to get a sense of who's in the room, if we can take our time to introduce ourselves, starting with the gentleman in the back to my far left. Tell us who you are and welcome to the committee meeting.
I'm Rick Mike from Just a Citizen.
One Meg.
Steve Cohen with 1 Meg in the Green Spot.
Michael Sullivan with One Meg.
Lisa Howell with 1 MEC and the South Tryon Community Development Corporation.
Michelle Mans with the Greater Charlotte Apartment Association.
John Butler across in South Beach.
Jimmy Royster, Mosaic Development Group.
Kathy Stillwell, Mosaic Development Group.
Fulton Meacham and live in formerly the Charlotte Housing Authority.
Kimberly Cole and Livian.
Kyle Pierce.
Cherry Grant, City Manager's Office.
Katie Hedrick, Housing and Neighborhood Services. Jane Talon, Housing and Neighborhood Services.
Anna Schleinis, City Attorney's Office. Gail Whitcomb, Housing and Neighborhood Services.
Victoria Watlington, District 3 Committee Member.
Braxton Winston, Vice Chair.
Victoria Johnson, City Manager Office.
Pamela Weidman, Housing and Neighborhood Services.
I want to thank everyone for being here this afternoon, and I'm going to turn it over to our Assistant City Manager to kind of walk us through the calendar for the council so we can get a feel for the meeting dates, times, and locations for the balance of the year. Ms. Johnson.
Thank you all, Chairman Graham. First of all, the calendar should be placed in front of you, and all of the meetings, February 19th, March 20th, April 15th. The April 15th meeting, please note, will be moved to April 22nd, the fourth Wednesday, to accommodate staff schedules. And we will be updating the schedule immediately after this meeting. When we have the 20th, please note that that time will be at 11 a.m. due to budget meetings that day. June 17th, no meeting in July and August. September 16th, October 21st, and November 4th, and December 16th. These meetings will be subject to change based on calendars and the chair and the committee, if they see fit, and we will announce those try to get those at least 4 to 6 weeks in advance to make sure everybody's aware of it, okay?
Any questions from the members? Everybody's good with it? Okay.
Today we're going to have Pam Weidman, the Director of Housing and Neighborhood Services, give an overview, a housing overview, so everyone can kind of understand and ask questions with the different acronyms and the different funding models and everything else. So I'll go ahead and I'll turn it over to Pam. Go ahead.
Okay. First, I want to recognize Councilwoman Johnson. Thank you for joining us. And she's not a member of the committee, but she's here with us, and we appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Happy
to be here.
Ms. Wyman.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Council Member Chairman Graham and Assistant City Manager Johnson. As has been said, I am Pamela Weidman. I serve as the Director of your Housing and Neighborhood Services Department. I know we have some new and returning council members, so if I could, just a moment, let me talk a little bit about Housing and Neighborhood Services. I like to think of it as kind of all things neighborhoods. The department consists of 5 lines of business, or 5 divisions, if you will. So we have our code enforcement division, where we enforce our minimum housing code, our non-residential code, and nuisance. We have our 311 call center, which is located out on Mallard Creek Road, where we have all of our 311 calls there. We also have our division of community engagement. We have the Office of Immigrant and Integration, and then affordable housing, which we'll spend most of our time talking about today. So again, all things neighborhoods, a little over 200 employees. It's been my experience, we'll talk about affordable housing today, and it's been my experience in this committee, if you guys give us good policy direction, we can bring back programs or services that really execute on your vision there. Let me say from the outset that this is the beginning of a conversation. We're not one and done. Housing is a very complex, affordable housing particularly is a very complex issue. And so I am happy to sit down with you all one-on-one if you have more questions as we go through this. Again, you won't learn it all today. It's very complex, and so I'm excited to begin this conversation with you. I also want to point out before we get started, or as we get started, when I think about housing, I think about it as a continuum of housing needs, right? All the way from a person who doesn't earn any money, all the way up to a person who is a higher earner. Your programs in the city are primarily serve households earning 80% and below the area median income, and so that is about $62,000 per year. That number changes every year, and it's set by the federal government kind of every year. But suffice it to say that the bulk of your programs serve households earning 80% below. Program is home ownership program, and you guys talked a lot about home ownership at your most recent annual strategy meeting. That goes all the way up to 120% of AMI. But that's just to set some context and kind of frame the work that you all do with city and with government funds.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
when you say 62,000, is that for a household of 4?
Household of 4, thank you. Yes, it is. So I'll just jump right in, and you all have the presentation in front of you as well. Feel free to interrupt me if you have questions, or if you prefer to hold your questions to the end. Either works for me, so just let me know what works for you guys. Basically, in the Great Neighborhoods Committee, we're going to talk about kind of what your purpose statement are. We're going to talk about some affordable housing, some common terms, and then we're going to look at kind of 3 areas: policy enhancements, your funding sources, and then your housing programs. Particularly in this committee, your role, or this committee exists to review and recommend policies related to affordable housing and housing that aligns with creating great neighborhoods. And one of the ways I think about it is creating mixed income neighborhoods. And so that's really at a high level what we strive to do in this committee and with this work. I promise there won't be a test at the end of this, but this is more so for your reference. You hear the terms affordable housing, workforce housing, and folks who are cost burden kind of tossed around a lot. And so we really wanted to give you some industry definitions about what those terms mean. So basically, when you talk about affordable housing, you can look at it in one of 2 ways primarily. Industry standards. A household, we shouldn't be paying more than 30% of our annual income for our housing needs. Now, many people choose to do that for many reasons, but that's just industry standard. You shouldn't be paying more than 30%. It gets a little bit complex, and one of the things that you'll hear me remind the council of often is a higher earner, they can choose to buy down, right? They can choose to get a house for less than 30% of their income. Oftentimes, a lower earner, what they find themselves is the dilemma of having to buy up, having to pay more than 30%. So our work is we try to, through our affordable housing policies and funding, we try to provide housing that affords low-income earners the ability to pay no more than 30% of their annual income for their housing expenses. Again, as I stated, you have kind of 4 pots of money from the federal government that we get every year, and those pots of money generally are for households earning 80% and below the area median income. We try to serve a continuum of needs with those, though. Workforce housing, industry definition, that is for households earning 80% to 120% of area median income. That's what we call kind of middle income housing or workforce housing. City grows, we find ourselves as we're losing more of that stock, and so we can't just focus on 80% and below. Where we can, we need to focus on 120% as well. And what you also see in that missing middle is what you'll read about in some of the language, is that's where we have one of our greatest opportunities to help create home ownership in that middle income. Cost burden, that's a term that simply is where a household where you're paying more than 30% of your annual income for your housing. So that household becomes cost burden. Housing insecure, that's even a larger problem where you're paying more than 50% of your annual income for housing. So that's housing insecure. And then naturally occurring affordable housing. In 2018, I believe it is, Council approved the Charlotte Housing Framework. And in that framework, we as a city know that we can't just focus on building new affordable housing. We also have to focus on preservation as well. So it's a holistic strategy, building new and preservation as well. So naturally occurring affordable housing, those are existing privately owned market rate multifamily complexes or single family that are owned by the private sector, but they are older, and so the rents that people are paying in those are affordable rents. And so we certainly, where we have the opportunity with the use of our dollars, want to work to preserve those units as well. And so how this has worked in the past is from a multifamily perspective, we've worked with developers to purchase who want to purchase those units, and we will put your city dollars in exchange to help rehabilitate those structures, and in exchange for that, you get a deed restriction, a long-term deed restriction on those properties. We've done that from primarily from a multifamily. The other way we help preserve is through preservation of single family, and we'll talk about that. You do that with your federal dollars, and I'll talk about and show you some examples of where we've been successful with those as well. So that's just a really wanted to get you beginning to get familiar with some of the vernacular and some of the acronyms, so when you hear those out in the community, you're familiar with those terms. So from a policy perspective, over the past 2 years, many thanks to this committee. The committee did a lot of work. I mentioned getting the Charlotte Housing Framework, so that's our affordable housing plan in this community. Getting that approved, that was a lot of work. Mr. Winston, you were around the table, you remember that. Some of you all probably came to public forums around that. And that is the framework that guides your work. I think about it as an umbrella, right? And so these policies under that are kind of the spokes that hold the umbrella up. And so within that framework, again, it's built on 3 pillars: building new construction, preservation, and then family self-sufficiency initiatives. Under that, the council also approved the affordable housing locational guidelines. We use that system, or that scoring system. We factor that into when we're awarding funding for new multifamily. That was a lot of great work that went into that. Many community engagement sessions, and some of our stakeholders around the room, most if not all, were a part of that as well. We also, the committee and the council approved guidelines for evaluating how we as a city dispose of our own land for affordable housing. One of the things that one of the ways that you help further affordable housing is the use of publicly owned land, and so the city approved guidelines for that, for how we'll evaluate and dispose of our own land. And then we also approved our naturally occurring affordable housing guidelines, and those were the guidelines that talked about how we would award funding to developers who want to acquire properties. And that was really important because when you do housing trust fund, you normally get 30 years of affordability. For naturally occurring properties, we approve guidelines that still allow us to get them, but you don't get as long affordability because they've already been in the market. Many of them have reached they just aren't as new, and so we can't expect them to last as long, but still nevertheless good work. And then that's a lot about housing, but as I said earlier, housing and neighborhood services in this committee, you also still look at other things outside of housing. So you did a lot of work on your minimum housing code. You did an update on that ordinance as well, still related to housing, but it's kind of more in the code enforcement world. So that was a great piece of work that went on, and the committee approved that update, and the full council as well. So that's kind of your framework. Those are your policies.
Mr. Winston?
I just wanted to, especially for the, well, I'm surrounded by council members that were in here last time, just to give you touch on a couple things that Ms. Wyman mentioned. Some of this work continues on, especially in the realm of intergovernmental relations. For instance, our legislative agenda that we received in committee yesterday, recommendations from the manager, which we will talk. On our state legislative agenda, we probably will still have, depending on our vote, assistance in affordable housing programs and funding, as well as updates to our minimum housing code. There's some things that we want to do that will take legislative change, so that work continues to work in a continuum across different entities within our organization.
And Mr. Winston, thank you. You made me remember something else. So these policies, what's up here is kind of what was done in this committee, but to your point, outside of this committee, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that. In planning, there was a TOD development density bonus that the council approved as well. And so within that ordinance, developers, if they choose to use it, and it's a voluntary thing, they can get more density in their project in exchange for affordable housing. And then what's not listed up here are some programs. There's a lot that goes on around housing that we want to make sure everybody is aware of. There are a lot of great programs that don't really rise to the policy level, but they do help us with our affordable housing efforts. So probably 2 committee cycles ago, a targeted rehab program was approved, and it's just what it says. It's targeted to certain communities, right? Because we know those communities are either gentrifying or they're at real risk of gentrifying. So we started that work in historic Camp Green and Lincoln Heights at LaSalle, and so there were a number of, we did targeted rehab there. There were a number of houses that benefited from that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we go into the presentation. The aging in place that was approved in your budget, I think it was last year or maybe 2 years ago. That program was to help people with the city portion of their taxes. And then the single family acquisition program, the council put some additional dollars in to help with the preservation of single-family acquisition homes and actually acquiring those homes so that they could be preserved and then maintained as affordable. And then the city manager and the council, you all put money in to help us acquire additional NOAA properties as well just last year. So again, lots of stuff going on in the affordable housing world. So from a funding perspective, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but let me slow down just a little bit. So you do your work with a combination of federal dollars and then local dollars. Many years ago, council recognized that we couldn't meet the needs, and we couldn't only rely on the supply of federal dollars. So that's how the Housing Trust Fund came to birth in 2001. But as it's called a participating jurisdiction, and I won't get too much into HUD speak, each year we complete an application, you guys approve it. That's our application to the federal government to get our affordable housing dollars. We all get 4 pots of funding every year to the tune of about 10 to 12 million. It fluctuates every year depending on what's going on with the administration in Washington. So those 4 buckets are the Community Development Block Grant, the Housing for Opportunities for people with AIDS and HIV. You'll hear it called HOPWA funding. We get home funding, and we get Emergency Solutions Grant funding. So those are the 4 that you can count on every year getting from the local government. You will see that your home program and your Community Development Block Grant program are primarily your largest 2 sources of federal funding that you get. And I'll talk about what we do with that money as we go through this. But what I also want to point out to you is we have been very successful to also have lead hazard control funding to the tune of about $3 million. I think we're on our 3rd grant with that. And that enables us, we pair that money with our CDBG money to remove lead hazards in houses, older houses, and that enables us to do kind of a more holistic revitalization when we go into communities and revitalize houses.
Mr. Winston?
I have a question. With the way development happens when old homes get knocked down, do we have any kind of covenant that's put on older homes where we invest this money to remediate lead that are in changing neighborhoods, for instance? Like, the last thing we want to do is put this money in and a year later it's sold and knocked down, right?
Right, so what this money goes into homes that are owned, right? And then, right, and so if the house is, to your point, if it gets knocked down, we have, depending on the amount of the investment, we have a deed, we will get paid back for that money kind of through all of the airing out of the estates. So we in many instances, we are behind kind of other lenders or assets that a person might have to pay or that have to be paid at the time of their death.
So we don't really have much protection over that, investing that money one day and that home going away a couple weeks after.
We've not seen that a lot, Mr. Winston. I can bring back to you exactly what our deed restrictions, what that language say, or how we account for that. I don't want to make it up for you.
You get what I'm saying, though,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
You have older homes that
Yeah.
are getting knocked down for new ones, and we're investing these
Yeah.
limited resources.
Yes. So I'll bring you back how we mitigate for that. We do have some mitigation measures in place, but I just don't remember them off the top of my head. Absolutely. So lead hazard control, that's a grant we get from the federal government. And the other thing that I want to bring to your attention to, the other pot of money, which is a new pot of money, is our Federal Home Loan Bank. The Federal Home Loan Bank of Atlanta, we received a grant from them, $500,000, and that helps us. It's called Community Heroes for a reason. That helps home ownership. It can be used by our police officers, our firefighters, nurses, teachers, but that allows us to create home ownership at higher income, kind of that 80 to 120 outside of what we would be able to do with our federal government. So we're really, really excited about that new program.
As we've already started implementing some of those loans?
We have to, as of December 31st, we got the money, I think it was around October, end of October. As of, I think, December 31st, we had awarded and closed a loan with a teacher. And so it's very similar to how our House Charlotte program works. It just allows us to serve a higher income.
Gotcha.
A question,
Listen.
Is that, I know we just recently received this, right? Is this a one-time allocation, or will this bucket be replenished as that loan gets repaid back over time?
Sure. So what the Federal Home Loan Bank of Atlanta has told us is that they have more of this money that they want to get into communities. Charlotte has been one of the early successes, if you will, with one, in just terms of staff being able to administer the program. So they want to give us more. They just want to see how we're going to manage this money. So I'm hoping it is not a one and done, that we continue to get more of this.
Pam?
Yes, sir.
You want to talk more about the community development block grant?
I am.
In
I'm
your
going
presentation?
to go into
Okay.
kind of what we
Gotcha.
use those to. So just a little bit more. I'm going to break down kind of how we use the pots of money, right? So for your community development block grant money, that pot of money is primarily used for rehabilitation. And we use a small portion of it for voluntary emergency relocation. So again, when we're going out into neighborhoods, we use your CDBG money, partner with your lead money to rehabilitate housing. And then a small portion of that is used for out-of-school time, your out-of-school time programs as well. Your home program, so the way I keep them straight in my head is CDBG is rehab, home is primarily used for new construction. So I shouldn't say new, it's used for new construction and to help create home ownership, right? So your House Charlotte program is used, we fund your House Charlotte program out of home, and again, that's your down payment assistance program. We fund your safe home. We do a little bit of rehab out of home as well. And then what we do it is best used with home is your tenant-based rental assistance, right? And so what that is we partner with the Salvation Army Women's Shelter, and we partner with the Men's Shelter, and we provide tenant-based rental assistance. There's a big misnomer in communities across the country is that people who live in shelters don't work. Many of them have jobs, they just don't have a job that will, where they can make the ends meet, right? And so we also want to decrease shelter stays and kind of clear the shelters. And so what we do is we provide that tenant-based rental assistance to help them with finding a house, and so we do that for a period of time. So that helps them. They work, they earn a little bit, they partner that rental assistance with it, and that's how they pay their monthly rents. And so that's another way that you all work. You partner with the county to help with the homeless efforts as well.
Ms. Wallington?
Do we also fund crisis assistance?
We do,
Okay.
crisis assistance, and you'll see that when you go through your budget process this year, you fund them as well. And then I've already talked about the lead hazard
Johnson.
program.
So that tenant-based rental assistance, can you tell me just a little more about that? Is that for, it supplements their income for so many months, or?
Generally, so HUD rules, right, we have to follow federal guidelines. Generally, a person or an individual or family can receive that tenant-based rental assistance for 2 years. We can apply to, the HUD rules also speak about, it can follow that person for 3 years, as up to 3 years, but generally it's a 2-year. That's not to be confused with another program that you all have, which is your Away Home program, and we can talk about that as well. But these are your federal dollars, and so that's how they're used. Does that help, Chairman
I think
Green?
so. So it's a permanent supportive housing program, maybe?
It's not a permanent
I'll talk to
supportive
you.
housing, but it's a rental assistance to help people with their rent. Yeah. Okay.
So last question on
Sure.
the federal program. Thus far, HUD, federal government, been a pretty consistent partner for the last couple of years?
HUD has been very consistent for a number of years. Like I said, from time to time, you will read about, CDBG funds will be cut. And CDBG funds have been cut over the years. We're hearing this year that we may receive more. We never know until, the budget is passed in Washington. What I will tell you is that several years ago, there was we saw an uptick in our emergency solutions funding, and all of that funding goes toward the homeless work. So and I like to point that out because often people think that the city doesn't do a lot around homelessness, but the emergency solutions grant, that is around ending and preventing homelessness. So all of that money goes there. In years, we've seen kind of the hope of funding kind of fluctuate, but to answer your question, HUD has been very consistent in those funding sources. So those were your federal funding sources. So let's go to kind of state funding sources. You all will hear a lot in this committee, and again, we'll have many conversations and we'll talk about it. The North Carolina Housing Finance Agency, and when you hear NCHFA, that's an organization in Raleigh. What they do, so the federal government, this happens across the country, they hand down low-income or house tax credits to each state agency. This is our state agency to be partnered with local funding to fund new multifamily affordable housing units, right? So if you think about a pie, and this math may not be 100% accurate, but you get the picture. To fund a low-income housing tax credit, a 9%, and we'll talk about that. It's about this funding accounts for about 70% of that pie, right? A developer will go out, they will get a first mortgage, just like you might do if you're buying a house, for about the other 20%. And then your funding, your local housing trust fund dollars make up the 10%. And so that's how you get the whole pie to fund a development. So every year, because you all have a housing trust fund, and we're very blessed in this community. A lot of communities don't have a local housing trust fund, so they have to borrow from their federal dollars to make this work. And the Housing Finance Agency, they're a great partner. They like to talk about the work that Charlotte is doing, so you guys should applaud yourself. They will award low-income housing tax credit credits to developers. So every year, there's one opportunity to receive 9%. Developers have an opportunity to receive 9% one time a year. Those are the most competitive tax credits that they award, most competitive because they bring the most money to a project or to a development, right? And so developers across the state of North Carolina compete for those every year. There's a cycle that works like clockwork, right? Any developer worth his or her salt, they know this cycle very well, right? And you all will be involved in approving the local funding for this. So that happens every year, once a year. We're the metro region. We're one of the largest regions. We're in there with Wake, Raleigh, I think it's Greensboro. We're one of the largest regions. Because we're one of the largest regions, that means in Charlotte, we will only get 3 to 4 awards per year, right? And so I only point that out because just for simple math, if you think about an average development being 100 units, you're just going to get about 300 units from 3 deals every year. So you can't just rest on that. And that's why we have to also do 4% tax credit awards. Those get a little controversial from a funding perspective because they cost more to do. But we have a new partner. We have this the private sector raised the $53 million. And so that has helped us for this last round, that helped us cut your costs in half. So where we were putting about $4 million per development, now we're down to putting about $2 million because we have that local funding source, and LISC is our partner who administers that money. So I'm really stressing, LISC didn't raise the money, LISC administers the money. The Foundation for the Carolinas raised the money, but we all work together to further affordable housing. So for a 9% development, your average contribution is about $1 million per se. And for a 4%, it's about $2 million. So that's just to give you some insight into thinking about how your $50 million is spent.
Ms. Wallach?
Has there already been any discussion about location when it comes to the 9% being? I just want to understand a little bit more about when we look at the census tracts that it actually is beneficial to do a 9% versus 4%. I just want to know how we're thinking about our holistic approach.
Absolutely. And so let me just start from the outset saying I'd love to do a deeper dive with you because I won't do it justice here. But to answer your question, there's been a lot of thought about location, and that was where the locational scoring tool was revamped. The locational policy was redone last year. From a 9% development tax credit standpoint, you don't have to be as concerned about location because the state, like they really are looking at where these are located as well because they understand the same concerns that you have. People across the state and across the country have them as well about concentrating poverty or deconcentrating poverty. So you don't have to worry as much through the 9% process from a state level. From the 4%, because they're less competitive, pretty much if a developer can come up with the funding, they're going to get the bond award, right? And so in both cases, however, that's where your locational scoring tool, your local scoring tool, takes into consideration the location of the developments. And like I said, Ms. Watlington, I'd love to do a deeper dive with you on that and go into that. But just to give you a little bit of the outcomes, and this is something you all requested at the retreat, and this is not one and done, but just to give you a little bit of insight, as a result of kind of the work that we're doing with LISC and the philanthropic, you have about 1,000 units that are under construction right now, affordable units throughout the city. What's always important to remember is this process, this is about, and some of my developer friends in here help me, this is a long process, right? And so developers have started, it's about an 18 to 24 month process, right? So once you all approve the funding, it's going to be about another year or so before you all see the units on the ground. So that's always important to keep in mind about kind of why we need to keep doing it, the length of the process, and also why we also need to work to preserve what's already there as well. So it's a holistic process. You know, developers, we talk about kind of the quality of this. This program, if you look across the state, it's really high quality housing that's produced. Developers have what's called a qualified allocation plan that they have to follow. That's their Bible, if you will. And it lays out the specs, what the units have to look like, the size of the units. They have to have an approved third-party management company to manage these units so that they live well in the community. And I could spend all day, but I'm going to hurry up because I know we've got a lot more to go.
One quick question for you. Has the budget impasse in Raleigh, with no budget being in place, impacted the Housing Finance Agency?
No, for the most part, Chairman Graham, no, because again, these tax credits are handed down from the federal government. I mean, I participate in a work team of kind of my counterparts around the state, and so we're always talking about things like that. But this program has been very successful, I would say.
Gotcha.
I think I've covered a lot of this. Talked about how it's an older program, it's authorized by Congress. It's administered by the Housing Finance Agency. Not only does this program help with new construction, but it helps with preservation as well. Talked about the 9% and the 4% tool. So that's pretty much that. And again, I'm happy to have a longer conversation if folks want to do it. I also segued into kind of the.
Ms. Wellington?
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I understand based on what you just said. Even the Housing Finance Agency, those funds are administered by the state from the federal government? Or
So the federal government passes down tax credit, a portion based on the state's population.
Yeah.
And they're administered by the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency.
Okay, so this is not actually local necessarily dollars?
No, sir. No, ma'am, I'm sorry. Okay. So I talked a little bit about kind of the public-private partnership. What we recognize is we could not go this alone as a city. We needed, if you've ever heard me talk, one of the things I will say is that the affordable housing is a community issue that's going to require community solutions, right? And so this is community solution. So the Foundation for the Carolinas, again, raised $53 million in support of our $50 million. I always like to be clear with people, that is not a dollar for dollar match. Some of that is land, some of that is low interest debt, but suffice it to say, it's more tools than we had. The private money, one of the main nuances or differences that I like to make sure people understand is the city's Housing Trust Fund, your money is kind of more forgiving. Lower interest rate. The private sector money, you've had people invest their money, private community invest their money, they want to be paid back. So often their terms are a little bit higher than yours, and the affordability we're going to get is less than 30 years in some cases. But nonetheless, it's great to have that resource, and it's cheaper money than a developer in many cases can go to a bank and get. So it's a very, very good tool that we have there.
Ms. Wallington?
I just wanted to know what the conversation currently is around the opportunity zones as that starts to come into effect. How has that started to impact the private investment?
Not necessarily, Ms. Watlington, from a housing perspective. What I like to tell people about opportunity funds is, I think the way that we use the opportunity funds to our advantage from a affordable housing perspective is we know those geographies, and so the way you win from an affordable housing perspective is you go in and you get the affordable housing on the ground earlier, right, before those lead to gentrification. Okay. So I mentioned that all of this is not a dollar for dollar match. Some of it's land. Some of the examples of land is Crescent. They donated some land in the River District. So several years ago, City Council approved a rezoning, and in that rezoning, Mr. Winston, you might remember, there's an affordable housing component in that rezoning. The Brooks family donated some land to Habitat that's going to be used for affordable housing, and there's some other instances where land has been donated through those funds. So in terms of your housing trust fund, and again, today is intended just to be high level, scratch the surface. We're doing some work from some of the things that you all talked at the committee that we'll bring back to you. Your housing trust fund, been around since 2001, was developed because we recognized that we couldn't rely on the federal government, so we needed a local funding source. It's on your ballot every other year with your transportation and your neighborhood funds. The city council, it had generally been about 15 to 20 million every other year. We knew that that just wasn't working in this community to meet our growing needs. So city council last year put $50 million on the ballot. Voters approved it, and we're planning for another 50 million this time around.
Mr. Winston?
So last year during the budget cycle, the manager made clear that we would have the capacity for another $50 million ballot. A ballot initiative should we choose to. And as you said, we elevated it from 15 to 50, but we know that this is a much bigger problem than than $50 million every 2 years. How are we feeling about this number right now? Is this a convenient number, or is this, do we need to kind of scrub this number a little bit more to say, hey, well, 50 is good, but we need to be we should be aiming at a different target?
Yeah. I think you'll get different answers, Mr. Winston, based on who you ask, right? I think if you ask members of the development community, you would hear things like we have a larger problem than the $50 million. I think you would also hear from some of your other colleagues that there are other needs that we have in the city, so we can't just totally focus on housing without focusing on neighborhoods or transportation. It's an expensive proposition. I will not. I won't tell you that it's not.
I guess I'm asking, the answer won't be here, right? You're not going to be able to give me the answer right here. But as we think about this narrative around this next round of trust fund dollars, what is the narrative that we're supposed to? Because yes, there was a big elevation from 15 to 50, and that showed our dedication to it. But keeping it at 50, is again shown as a priority. How do we talk about that number this time? Why is that this number, and why should the community get excited to support this level?
I think one of the ways you talk about it is you show results, right? And so, for example, I'm not sure if you were in the room or if you stepped out. Is there are currently like 1,000 units under construction as a result of this work. So you're making progress. I mean, one of the ways you talk about it is you won't build your way out of it. So we have to continue our other efforts around our preservation and the creation of home ownership. I think the other way you talk about it is, we understand that if you want to serve lower income, like the 30%, and so that costs more money. So we need to continue to create mixed income neighborhoods. So I would say to you as your staff person, I think the $50 million is certainly a move in the right direction, and your $50 million is being used really well. But it's always about return on investment. And the one thing I would say too is I always encourage people to remember is that housing is not the silver bullet, right? You have to do other things, right? Workforce development is very clear, and it goes together with that.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that question. Just in terms of, though, thank you, Mr. Winston, for bringing that up. You can kind of see just some early outcomes, and we'll talk a little bit more about this as we work through and bring you back some of those return on investments. One of the partnerships that I want to point out that also makes this works and help with costs as well, helps decrease costs, is a partnership that we forged last year with the Charlotte Housing Authority, where they have committed a number of project-based vouchers as they become available. And so that helps with the financing of these as well. I talked about kind of the low-interest debt that developers are able to get, and some of the results, right, around particularly the preservation. You all approved Sharon Oaks, which is 98 units that'll be preserved in an area that's gentrifying, high opportunity. Wendover Walk, 91 units, again, in an area of high opportunity that's being preserved. And then finally, Heritage Park, which is 151 units. So you guys are doing great work with the use of the $50 million. Just real quickly, how do we use the trust fund? You all get I'm sorry.
Johnson?
You mentioned that we preserved it. How did we preserve it?
So again, these were privately owned apartments that you all had never put any money in, the city had never put any money in before. The owners, in these cases, new owners, came in, they bought the properties, they came to the city to apply for trust fund dollars for rehabilitation, right? To address deferred maintenance. In exchange for that money, we get a long-term deed restriction so that these units will remain in the market as affordable units, meaning that the rents, what you're seeing, if you think about, just in your mind, go out Central Avenue, right? And so if you start at Central Avenue from kind of the uptown area down to about Eastway, you will see that those apartments were either torn down or that they were rehabbed for higher end, right? Nothing wrong with that. That's a business model. But what happened in that rehabilitation is you lost what was called naturally occurring affordable house. And so that helps us preserve affordable housing through this strategy.
Okay. So could that strategy be used with a complex like Lake Arbor?
Absolutely, it could. And so this is a market strategy, right? We can't force anybody to take this money. This is where people voluntarily decide to sell their property. If a person purchased that who is interested in our affordable housing mission, then the strategy can be applied. But we can't force anybody to do it.
So it's for a new owner, not a current owner who wants to
A current owner could take
Okay.
it, so it could be a current owner or a new owner.
Okay.
It could be. Yeah, absolutely. So Housing Trust Fund, what does it do? I always like to tell people we have great developers around this room, right? The city of Charlotte, we're not developers, right? We don't develop anything. What we do is we provide gap financing to both nonprofit and for-profit developers, right? And often this works with the low-income housing tax credits. Our structure is flexible. One of the things we heard from a lot of our partners, Equitable Communities, some of our partners in the room, and the city, we know that in our building mixed income communities, we need to think about the 30% households earning 30% and below. And so in your framework, in our RFPs that we put out, in any award, at least 20% of the units have to be set aside for households earning 30% and below. Again, thanks to our partners in Livian. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's gonna take me. I'm slow. I'm slow. Our partners in Livian, they provided project-based vouchers that really helps with this 30%, right? Because we know housing for 30%, there are no developers in this community that are saying we don't want to do that. What developers are saying is that it costs more to do that. And so that helps us greatly do that.
Mr. Winston.
I'm glad you brought up that 0 to 30%, which is the most difficult. In the past year, our counterparts in the county have given particular attention to putting their dollars behind those, that specifically the 0 to 30% AMI. I don't know if you're going to get to it, but can you just speak about how or if we are figuring out how to work together so that we're best using all of our dollars to kind of collaborate where we can?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I'll speak to that now, Mr. Winston. One of the ways the city has been the county has been pretty clear in the conversations in our meetings is that they're not going to get into the housing trust fund business or the new construction, right? That's kind of not their lane. But what they have committed to do, which is really great, is, as you articulated.
Have they though? I mean, I thought they were looking to build on their land.
Well, and I'll talk about that too. I'll talk about that. So what they've committed to do is their resources will be for 30% and below. Several of the ways that they're doing that is, number one, just like you all have the Away Home Endowment that provides rental subsidies, they are partnering with the foundation as well on, I think it's called MEC Home, to do rental subsidies for 30% and below as well. They set some dollars aside, I believe, to help folks who've been evicted, which is well needed in this community as well. And then in terms of what I mean by they said they're not getting into the trust fund game, they are looking at, I talked about the use of publicly owned land. So right now, it's my understanding that they have an RFP, a request for proposals, out on some land that they own. I believe it's off of Billingsley Road, where they're looking for developers to do affordable housing. It's my guess that those developers will likely could apply for low-income housing tax credits, which means that they'll likely apply for trust fund dollars as well. So they're tackling it a little bit of a different way, using their land, and that's really important too, because as we've talked about, land helps buy down the cost or write down the cost when the developer doesn't have to perform that in. So I think that there's a good partnership being forged with kind of what the county is doing and what the city is doing. And again, the other thing that they did that's really important is they funded some social workers. And that's really important too, because when you think about the homeless, and particularly the chronically homeless, often you need to break through some mental health issues as you are seeking to get those individuals housed. So really, really good game plan that they've laid out with their money. Does that help?
Yes. Well, I guess you said where we would come into play. I would like to see us work a little more collaboratively, not just on the back end when it comes to coming up with the gap funding. I'd like us to figure out kind of a comprehensive plan, how we work together throughout the
And I think, Mr. Winston, while you may not see a lot of that, and maybe it's more of a comprehensive discussions between, I think why you don't see it a lot, from a staff perspective, we do. I mean, for example, someone from my team is sitting on, they'll be helping to review and sort out kind of the RFP that will come forth from that. I attend several meetings with the county, the Away Home, we're both on the governing boards, and so we're sharing what we're doing.
I guess I shouldn't say that it doesn't happen, but from my perspective, how do I communicate what we are doing, and how do I get feedback from stakeholders of how we can do that better? So I'm not familiar with where that collaboration is happening, so maybe that's something that we need to do more internally.
Yeah, and I'd love to sit down and share and answer any questions that you might have about what you're getting from constituents when you're out there to arm you with the information.
Ms. Johnson?
Thank you. Is more supportive housing an option, so that we are collaborating with the services and the affordability of the housing? That will be kind of state, county. That's a practical.
I think that's a great.
Just read my mind. I was getting ready to ask the same question.
I think that's a great observation. So supportive housing. From a staff perspective, I would say yes. We have some really great examples of how that has occurred in this community. More Place, that is, you had a city investment, right, from the capital to help build More Place. Not only More Place 1, but the expansion, right? You have McCreesh Communities, and that's not their name now. Supportive housing, thank you so much, which is down here in Davidson. That's a single room, that's a supportive housing community for men. Again, the city collaborated from the Capital, the Housing Authority in Libyan. From
all the name changes, I got you.
from a project-based voucher perspective. In both supportive housing and More Place, and so there is collaboration. The county pays for the social workers to come in there and work, and so the conversation in this community or any community is often gets to, I think we can all agree that yes, there needs to be more of that, but we get bogged down when we start to talk about where, the location, right? And so that's just something we have to talk about as a community and something we have to be willing to overcome. And the best example I will share, just an anecdote, is when Moore Place 2, the expansion, it was very refreshing to see the community, Druid Hills community, in fact, come in and say, hey, we're supportive of this. A resident from Druid Hills who was on what was known as the Housing Advisory Board, really ended up being a vice president in the neighborhood, so the neighborhood really embraced him. But, you know, the locational issue is very real, and so you all have a lot to say about that, so.
Yeah, I just want to just comment. One, I'm very interested in that topic. I was a council member when we did Increased Place.
That's right.
And I'm not sure if we did any more since, right? I mean.
So that's the Moore Place you have done since.
It's been about 15 years, and so we need a lot more.
That's right.
And so hopefully as we begin to talk about housing and also talking about that partnership with the county, I mean, that SRO housing really is a front of mind conversation because a lot of the problems that we were having with crime and we're doing this data collection, which is fine, but I think we know, right now, that is dependency on drugs, alcohol, no jobs, no place to live. And so I think when we talk about this affordable housing, this housing strategy, SRO housing has to be top of mind.
That's right. That's right. And just, you all made me remember as we were sitting here, there's another one since that time. It's on Central Avenue as well. So you both are absolutely right.
Not many.
I'm sorry?
Not many.
Not many. That's right. That's exactly right. So I think I beat that one to death. So just
So we have a 1:30 stuff, so you're doing fine.
Okay.
You're doing fine.
Okay. I get excited about this stuff. In terms of your support, you can see some balances there. Just like to show with you all there. The bottom line is a couple of things. You have about 21 million remaining from your 50 million that you've spent. You still have your NOAA. Again, the council approved 4.2 million to help with NOAA acquisitions. And then single-family acquisition, rehab, and resale. That's the RFP that we'll be releasing soon. That's $2.1 million. And again, the goal of that was to acquire houses, rehab them, and then place them back on the market for affordable housing for sale, for which you guys talked a lot about at your retreat there.
Mr. Winston.
Would that not be a land bank?
You could look at it that way. I mean, and the reason I say that, Mr. Winston, is when you talk about land banking, some people talk about it as buying land and then holding it for a period of time. The only little nuance here is the plan is not to hold these for a period of time. The plan is to acquire them, rehab them, and then place them on the market for sale.
Wouldn't that be just a certain strategy for a land bank?
Yes,
the whole
sir.
time would be the rehab time, and then you get
Yes,
it off
sir.
after. So that's just a short-term
That's right.
hold.
That's right. Yes,
Why?
sir.
Why would we not just formalize a land bank and say this is one of the strategies that we're going to employ? I mean, that's our short term.
Right. Well, you could absolutely do that. You could, quite frankly, say this is the city's approach to land banking, right? This is how we handle land banking.
Yeah, one approach. I mean,
Right.
we could have the long term one
That's
where
right.
you have
Yeah.
the affordable workspaces to whatever it may be.
That's right. You're
So
absolutely
is that
right.
just what we have to do on our own to formalize this from a council perspective, or is this?
Yeah, I mean, I think this would what I would say to you is this was we'd have to understand if this is you all's decision, right? Was this a one-time budget allocation, or is this something you guys want to continue?
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
And so that's for both pots. That's for the NOAA and the single family. Yeah. And then so that you can see kind of what your total balance is. So just from a process perspective, again, just want you guys to understand this. and Mr. Winston, you'll tell me if I'm wrong, because you've been around this table. This is the process for trust fund. Again, it's a lengthy process, right? So the city, we issue our, well, let me back way up. The state, the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency, right? They issue their pretty much request for proposal in January, right? Developers submit a preliminary application to the state. The city, we then come behind that. We did this last Friday. We released our RFP. That's out on the street. Developers are completing that right now. We will get all of the submissions back, and this is another place where we shore up our processes with you all. We will then notify you, we got 20, we got 30, whatever it is we receive back. From kind of say February to April, we're doing a dual review with our partners, LISC, and the city. I want to remind the older, some of the former council members and inform the newer council members, the LISC funding, that pot of money, that does not work for 9% development. So the city goes that alone. That's okay. That's a lower request per development. And so we're reviewing those applications. We'll present some summaries to you, to City Council, so you'll have a heads up. We'll have our action review meeting where we go through the whole slate, and we will say, based on kind of your criteria, which I'm going to go through in a minute, these are the applications that we recommend awarding or moving forward. Let me remind you of the 9%. We may bring you 14, right? But we know you're only going to get 3 of those. We're only going to get 3 of those awarded. But the reason we will bring you that many is because we don't want to limit our chances as a community to only put 3 forward that may not even get awarded. So that's why we'll bring you more than that. And then you all will vote at a business meeting in time for developers to submit their complete application package to the state. And again, it's a prescribed time frame by the state, and so we just work within that. That's just kind of the phases that we go through there. Just to remind you, there's an investment review. There's an investment funding. That's some work that LISC has to do. And then what's really important is that we monitor these things all the way from construction through the life of the project, just to make sure that they're compliant with your regulations.
Mr. Winston?
I would just encourage the new council members and all of us, that was probably the most succinct slide that I've seen in terms of that process. The first time we were introduced to it, it was a whole layout. So, but that is what people are going to question us on, about what is our process, what Ms. Wyman just laid out there. So I would definitely encourage you to get the longer version of that and ask a question, because when it was first presented to us last summer, there was a lot of conversation and a lot of questions that went into getting to that.
And thank you, Mr. Winston, for saying that. One of the things you reminded me of is there was lots of conversation about the community engagement particularly, right? And so we heard that from our partners, our stakeholders, and what we've done is we've increased the required community engagement. So there's no question about whether or not the neighborhoods of people who were directly affected know. We increased it. We said developers have to have 2 meetings. We gave them some real prescription about when those meetings had to be held. We gave them about meeting notes, who needed to be invited, and so we have incorporated the community's feedback is the message that I want to get across. In terms of our evaluation criteria, we look at city policies, particularly the number of years that the development is going to be affordable. Generally, we get about 30 years. In some cases, when it's just been your trust fund dollars and it's been a higher ask, we've gotten 40 years of affordability, and that's a really good thing. We want to make sure that we look at any displacement or revitalization issues. We look at the strength of the development, like how many of the units are 60% or less. We look at the use of project-based vouchers. Developer experience, that is so important, right? Because the last thing we want to do is, number one, we want to invest taxpayer dollars in an organization or a developer who's not experienced and can't bring the project to fruition. And then we also don't want to create havoc or blight in a neighborhood by a project or development that gets started that can't be finished. So we really look hard at that. We not only look at their developer track record, but their property management track record as well. We look at the financial strength, kind of the leverage of our city funds or our list funds. We look at the investment per unit. There is a market study that we require, and that's not that we require, but that the state requires, right? And where there is no state participation, we would still require it. Because one of the things that you learn from a market study is what's the market calling for? Like, we don't want to build units that they won't be absorbed, and so developers are required to do that. I talked about the community engagement process, and then we look at the site scoring, right? And that gets to, Ms. Watlington, your point about the locational issues, right? We look at their proximity to amenities, access to amenities, kind of what's going on in the neighborhood. Is it changing rapidly? We're looking for gentrification signs, and then we're looking at just kind of overall diversity. Let's see here. I talked about, we just released an RFP last week. And so this is kind of the schedule that you'll see, kind of that January to April time frame that I talked about, in which we do our work. And then just a few more minutes on programs outside of Housing Trust Fund. We get bogged down a lot. We talked about homeless support. You can see some outcomes there. The rental and relocation assistance that we have there, our housing rehabilitation, what we've done there. Those programs are primarily our Safe Home, our Live Safe, our emergency repair. We have a long-standing partnership with Habitat for Humanity. Our preservation and new construction, again, that's your Housing Trust Fund dollars. We've used some of our own city-owned land. We talked about the naturally occurring affordable housing. We talked about our partnerships with Enlivian and LISC and the Foundation for the Carolinas. And then our home ownership. We talked about our two programs there, our House Charlotte down payment assistance program, our Community Heroes program, which is new. We talked about our single family acquisition. And one of the things that's often left out when we talk about home ownership, not only do we want to help people with down payment assistance, but we also want housing counseling is really, really important, right? We want people to know what being a homeowner is all about. So we fund 2 partners to help do, for our House Charlotte program, it's mandatory 8 hours of pre-home ownership counseling with a HUD certified counselor. That's very, very important. And like I said, our down payment assistance work there. Just a little more of the outcomes, and we'll go into a lot of this at your budget workshop presentation in March, I believe it is. Provides down payment assistance to low and moderate income employees, including the public sector, provides the counseling. You can see some of our outcomes over the years there. My personal goal would be to get this back up to in the 400 down payment assistance amount of providing down payment assistance to 400 families, so that's always a stretch target there for me. Talked about our Community Heroes program, which is new. This is how we help kind of folks right outside that 80% to 120. We held the kickoff at the fire department, really just to demonstrate that it is for some of our community heroes. Our single family rehab, our targeted rehab primarily. Again, we started this program. We know that there are many communities in this city that could use this. We just have limited resources when we talk about targeting. But again, we don't want to just do one-offs. We want to go into community. We want to do streets of houses. The one thing that I would point out about this program, why these numbers are somewhat low, is this is new. So we had to people had to see it to believe it, right? People had to believe that, yes, the city wanted to help. We weren't going to take your house, but we really, really just wanted to help you. So it kind of was like a fire, right? Like one person did it, the neighbors saw it, they asked, so it's kind of, it caught on. It's caught on slowly, slower than we would like. But we started in Lincoln Heights at LaSalle, historic Camp Green. We've now moved over to Revolution Park and Washington Heights. So those are the two communities that we're working in now. let's see, our single-family rehab, you can see those are some numbers that we've done, that we've achieved there. What I would point out, those numbers look low, but what I want you to understand is 2020, we have 52 developments that are in progress. Those numbers that you see in the table are what's been completed, so we have some in the work as well. And with that, I know that was pretty quick, but I just wanted to whet your appetite, and like I said, I welcome a deeper dive if you all would like to.
Ms. Wyman, I want to thank you for that very comprehensive presentation. That's exactly what I wanted the committee to receive, like basically an orientation. I know it was old information to some, but I think it really helped out me, Ms. Wellington and Mrs. Johnson, kind of step in the right direction for the committee. One quick question, what's on the horizon for the committee?
Yes, sir. Thank you for asking that. What you all will see coming forward, and we've done this a number of ways, but suffice it to say, the committee of the council will approve any housing trust fund developments that will come your way through this RFP process. As we receive the feedback from the single-family acquisition program that we talked about, you all will see those and you'll approve those. We do what's called, we have to do, according to federal regulations, our consolidated action plan. That's the application that we complete to get our annual funding from HUD. And so we will always bring that to you all, to the council, every year to approve that. A lot of the work that we do, you actually won't see at a committee or a council level. Things like our neighborhood matching grants. We hadn't even talked about that program, but we have that program. That's where neighborhoods can get up to $25,000 to do a neighborhood development. One of the things that I would invite you all to, shameless plug is, or not shameless, is in February, I believe it is, we're going to be having our board retreats. That's where we bring together about 17 or so, depending on the space, neighborhoods every year. We do that twice a year for them to one, get to know other neighborhoods across the city and to work on annual strategic neighborhood plans for projects that they want to do. So it's those types of things that we're working on, and those things that rise to a policy level, they will come to the committee.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee before we conclude?
Just one.
I don't know where to find you.
Mr. Winston?
Just one thing. Just speaking with Commissioner Jarrell, I know him and Commissioner Dunlap are very interested in figuring out how they put some of their resources to the Aging in Place program. So as we're going into budget, and as we're thinking about that, I'd love for that to be on the table.
Absolutely.
That collaboration when we get to that point.
Yes, sir. We'll make sure that is on the table and look at that program and how we can better utilize it.
All right.
Also, Ms. Wyman, at the appropriate time, I would like to, we got a lot of stakeholders in the room, and certainly the folks from LIST, and if we can kind of invite them to come and present before the committee at the appropriate time. This is basically an update on their last year.
Yes, sir.
And also at the appropriate time, once we get through the RFQ process, some of the other stakeholders as well. But if we can coordinate something with LIST, kind of talk about that.
Okay, very good.
I would like to see that as well.
Yes, sir.
Anything else for the good of the order? Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.